Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Young Americans Abroad. My name is Austin.
And my name is Patrick.
And guys, welcome back to our show.
Yeah, we got AVT and PAT. They talking about young Americans overseas. We got McKinney, Pulisic, Reina, and Des. Got that red, white, and blue. USA on the crest from England, Germany, from Belgium to Spain. Racking up all the medals on the trophy train. Got one thing on their mind. We're scaling some luck. One day we can say we will win the World Cup.
Well, guys, it's great to be back with you this week. And boy, do we have a fun episode, don't we, Pat?
Yeah, this one's a long time coming. I know we've been planning and talking about it for some time, but we're excited to finally reveal this to you all. I know all the yacht fans have been dying for this, Austin.
Yeah, and that's our 2022 World Cup roster prediction. So we're excited to go through 26 players we think should make the World Cup roster this year. And Pat, we got a lot of great names on this list, a lot of, tough options to pick from.
Yeah, certainly. With the season starting here, right? The summer kind of winding down or heating up, you could say, still with transfers. There's a lot of guys vying for that spot on the plane to Qatar, Austin.
That's right. And I guess, should we get right into it? I guess we should go right into the goalkeeper. So how we're going to set this video up for today is we're going to go position group by position group. We're going to give our locks, or the players that we both, came up with and putting together our individual 26 players within each position group. And then we'll go to the final picks that we had that, we kind of differed on, Pat. I know we had a few of them. So, without further ado, let's get into goalkeepers. So I think the first two were very easy, right? So our two are Matt Turner and Zach Steffen. Now, I don't know if they're going to be in that order, Pat, but I think both have kind of proven consistently. And obviously, Zach Steffen's had a lot of injuries this past year, and, we'll see what kind of comes of his move and also Matt Turner's move this year. But I think both of us, Pat, feel pretty locked and pretty certain that these two goalkeepers are going to be on this roster.
Completely agree. Only thing I'm adding is who's going to be number one, I've kind of went back and forth. I think right now, Matt Turner was my number one, but this Arsenal move's daring, right? It's exciting for him. It's a great opportunity. He has fantastic confidence, but I mean, Ramsdale, the stature of Arsenal, it's going to be tough to overcome. Will the playing time be there? Will Steffen now being on loan to Middlesbrough, will that kind of jump him up? So there's a lot to consider, but those two are definitely locks.
Yeah, and honestly, Pat, I'm really not sure who I'm feeling right now. Based on form right now, or just in terms of goalkeeper who has played over the past year the most, I think we got to give it to Matt Turner, right? But you never know what the future holds, kind of like you said.
Yeah, I mean, Turner's been fantastic with the USMNT, right, and obviously with the Revs, and having this move, it was such a huge kind of high, right? That curve, right at the end of the spring, early summer, and now that he's at Arsenal, the questions are being asked, right? I mean, this is a huge step up. I'm excited for him, but it's a really daring move at a time, this close to, you could argue, right? He might have been that starter had he stayed at the Revs to Qatar, right? Unless something catastrophic could have happened.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I think that's another great segue into, a goalkeeper who may be staying in MLS. So this was our last position in goalkeeper. We had some difference in. So I chose Gaga Slonina. And Pat, who did you choose? Oh,
I broke my ice. I chose Sean Johnson, but I'm leaning now towards Gaga. I see the value in it, but I only chose Sean just because I feel like he's been that guy. That third guy can in and out for so long. He stepped up when he got in the USMNT start in the jersey, right? We saw him recently, and he's had fantastic form and seasons here with NYCFC. So I think from the playing time, the locker room presence, right? He probably won't be starting in and out, but could be a third option. However, I want to hear your Gaga slant because I love that too.
Yeah, and I think Sean Johnson is a really interesting case because we've seen a lot of him over the years, right? And like you said, he's in a good spot right now. NYCFC obviously won MLS Cup last year, and he played a crucial role in their season and, even their season this year. So, yeah, it's tough to kind of leave him off the roster, in my opinion. But I think again, with this third goalkeeper spot, you said it yourself. This isn't a position that, the player in this position, we hope will not start a game or get much playing time in this competition. If they do, it's because of a lot of injuries. So I just think it would be really valuable experience for Gaga, especially if, the rumors are true and he moves to a big club this summer. And again, stays in MLS to be kind of an option where, if he's really killing it going into the World Cup and there's question marks, behind Matt Turner, Zach Steffen, then if they have a shaky game in the World Cup, then maybe you go with someone who's a little bit more game ready and, maybe more healthy, something like that. So I don't know. I'm a big Gaga fan. I'm a big, young guy stan. So I got to go with Gaga for this one.
Hey, and if he makes that move, right, which I may have, I got the insider like Fabrizio Romano last episode, going to Chelsea maybe. That's another young American abroad, Austin, so I can fully get behind that. So, yeah, I like it. I agree with you. I won't harp too much on that. I mean, just for the experience, usually that third goalkeeper, again, won't be playing, knocking on wood, but just to be there for that environment for the future. The talent that he has, obviously playing fantastic in Chicago now, being linked to these top clubs. I mean, this is a kind of you could argue, right, a once in a very long time goalkeeping talent. We haven't had somebody like that in a while, right? Since kind of that Howard, Friedel, back through those eras. So it's a weird position group for us now, but we still have some very viable options.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, it'll be exciting to kind of see what his future holds. So with that, I think we should move into the defenders. So again, we're going to give the players that we kind of agreed upon, Pat, and we'll kind of leave the last few spots left for debate. So the first player we really decided on was Anthony Robinson, right? Someone who has been a lock starter recently. So, no surprise there. We both said Aaron Long and Walker Zimmerman. So we'll see who starts, but we both think that they should be on this roster. We both said Chris Richards, again, with the caveat that he's healthy and that, he starts the season off in pretty good form wherever he ends up, right? There's some rumors about a Crystal Palace move now. But I think Chris Richards would be a great, center back to bring with us. Another one we said, I think we both had 9 defenders on, our roster. So this is kind of the one extra defender, but we both said Eric Palmer-Brown, which leaves our, one of our final positions up for debate, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then we also said Serginho Dest. And then we both had DeAndre Yedlin on the roster. And, Dest obviously when healthy, superstar right back. There's some questions about, can he be a consistent defender, but he can, provide such an impact on offense. And DeAndre Yedlin, I think we both said, World Cup experience. He's someone that's kind of, gritted his teeth recently and gotten back into the roster group, right? So we both thought he should be on this roster. Do you want to talk about the 2 players we kind of debated on, or the 2 spots we debated on?
Yeah, certainly. And I think one of those was the outside back, right? And you mentioned from the left side, George Bello, who I believe you were in favor with, and I was arguing more from the opposite side, right, with Reggie Cannon, from that right back perspective. So I know that was a huge position. And again, we seem pretty set, right, with Anthony Robinson, Serginho Dest when healthy, but really, who's going to cover, right, up in the air? I don't know why, Austin. I don't know what it is. I just don't trust Bello. I think he's still got a lot of room to grow. Obviously in the 2 Bundesliga now, but a lot of still kind of areas to improve on in terms of positional awareness. A little bit slow to react to things. Some errant passes. I just think Cannon is a little bit more sound and safe. But again, maybe that's not the right way to look at this roster and what we need. But for right now, my gut is just telling me I just can't trust George Bello. I'm sorry.
That's fair. And I think, you said Cannon would kind of be the third right back on this roster. So I think it's really interesting to think about Serginho Dest as kind of cover on the left too, if something happened to Anthony Robinson. But I don't know. I went back and forth on this. The other player I was thinking about too was Joe Scally, right? But he didn't really, look so hot earlier this summer against Uruguay.
2026.
Yeah, 2026. And, I think he still has a lot of room to still grow at his club team. They have a new coach this year. It's going to be a new situation for him. There's been some moves this summer. So I don't know. I think he's a guy that it might just be a little bit too soon, right? Maybe if this was next year, then maybe he could be that backup left back, or even, an option to start in some scenarios. But I just felt more comfortable with someone who was more, again, comfortable with that left back position over, another right back on the team. But I don't know. I can go back and forth, Pat. I think there's merit to bringing someone like Reggie Cannon or, DeAndre Yedlin if he's like the third right back on the team, because I both think they have positive qualities. It's tough to kind of figure out who's going to, play backup left back if someone, gets injured. God forbid, Anthony Robinson and Serginho Dest get injured, then who's going to play now?
Yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, it's amazing to have those locks and to have some of the competition. But yeah, it is still a question, who can be back there. And then I think another question from the defenders, right, that we
this is the good one.
Hot topic, hot take, and I'm ready to hear your side, Austin. So one of the center backs, right, we have Zimmerman, we have Aaron Long. I don't know, just it sounds like it's going to be our pairing. I still have some reservations from Long perspective, but that other option, right? We have some names here both listed EPB, but you've listed John Brooks, right? I thought, I don't know. I don't know if I can die on that hill with you, Austin. I might be running, man. Heading towards maybe a CCV didn't look too bad in this cameo. He signed that deal now permanent with Celtic. Found a home there finally after being on so many loan spells. I think he's going to be really happy there with his club situation, getting minutes. And then Mackenzie, obviously his fortune to turn with a new coach and new situation there. Getting the captain's armband a few times. Sounds like he's getting more minutes. So again, at the same time, those are more fringe players. And Brooks, we know what he can do, the level he has, but something just bothers me about this whole situation behind the scenes. I just can't shake, and I just don't know if I can go die on that hill with you, Austin.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the only one in the U.S. soccer community that still has hope in John Brooks being called up for the World Cup. But like you said, that's the hill I'll die on.
Prove us wrong.
So I don't know. Again, I can make the case. Again, I think it's not been surprising to me that he hasn't been called up yet. I think this might be one of those cases where it goes down to the wire. And I think, Greg Berhalter, if it is from what we hear, just, a disagreement between how he conducted himself in camp, right? Potentially not being as eager to follow commands or, maybe not believing in the progress that Greg Berhalter has kind of laid out so far in his tenure as coach of the UNT. Then I think, it makes sense for Greg to hold out until the final minute. So I think when it comes down to things, I think, again, John Brooks provides a lot of positives, right? He's someone that has World Cup experience, right? Scoring that goal in the last World Cup. Great moment for him. He's someone who's familiar with the team, right? Maybe he hasn't been in the team recently, but I think he's played, a lot of minutes with most of the guys that are going to get called up for the World Cup. So I think there is that familiarity there. He's also someone with some stature at the club level, right? He's one of our, when you think of players who have European experience at the defender position, especially the center back position, he's by far, above and beyond, right? He has, Champions League experience, which not a lot of our center backs have. I mean, Chris Richards has a few, garbage time minutes in Champions League, or minutes where it didn't really matter, but he's played in the Champions League. He's played in Bundesliga, in Wolfsburg, right? A Bundesliga team that's finished in high positions in the Bundesliga and has experience and success to draw on. So again, though, I think it's feast or famine with John, right? Like sometimes you get his best game and sometimes you get his worst game, right? He's someone that really likes to gamble, whether that's, diving upfield to make tackles or making those, hero passes to kind of, try and unlock defenses. So I think there's a lot of plus and minuses. I think, again, at the end of the day, Greg Berhalter is going to look at himself, look at the options he has, right? No Miles Robinson right now. Again, Chris Richards hasn't been healthy very much, and maybe, his situation isn't the best for him going into the World Cup based on what happens this summer. So I think there's a lot left to be decided. And again, I think CCV didn't really do anything earlier this summer that really, made him stand out to me. Mark McKenzie's been a little shaky at times, in a US jersey. So that's just my take on it.
No, I think you've laid out some very, very good points. Talent-wise, right, skill, we know what John Brooks offers. No denying that. I think the only thing I just go back to is, again, maybe it's an attitude. Maybe it's I think you kind of noticed he was pulled at half that last time we saw him, and it was just a disastrous game from the national team perspective. And
yeah, which is fair.
Kind of sulking, and can a team get behind somebody like that? And again, not saying he's completely banished, but in the time with the World Cup coming back this late, I know he has some familiar with the group, but I guess just kind of that sour bad taste still in the mouth, coming in to Qatar. It hasn't been with the group for a little bit. Does that cause some shakiness in the back or just the cohesion? I think that's the only thing I'm worried about. But at the same time, it's a lot of speculation. I'm saying that I don't know what happened exactly. It just seems like it feels that way. And but like you said, like, do the pros outweigh that con? I mean, you could argue yes, because like you said, CCV, McKenzie, obviously Richards with the injuries here, but there's not really any other cases you could argue talent-wise that would surpass John Brooks. Not at all.
Yeah, and I think that's what Greg Berhalter is going to have to weigh is, does he want to keep making a point of him, which, again, I think it might be justified, but, I think John Brooks has learned from the situation. He said all the right things, and, sometimes going through a period like this where he's been isolated, changes someone and makes them, remember what they, were so passionate about. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens. I think, whatever pairing we go with will be interesting. I think, that's going to be a position where, again, we're not going to have maybe the same level of experience as some other positions, but we're got to rely on, who's there in those spots when they get called up, and go from there. So Pat,
awesome.
Do you want to kind of, touch on the mids?
I was going to say quickly, if
Sure.
You're right, we gotta get a jersey here on the Yacht merch store. It says it's you and John Brooks side by side behind "Told You So" 2022.
We'll get it right on that if that happens.
Yeah.
That'd be peak right there.
Yeah, so I guess we wanted to shift over to the midfielder position, right? And that's
we're stacked.
I don't think we had any disagreements at all. Comparing ours, I mean, the amount of talent we have is just unbelievable. I'm like really excited. This is like the engine, the heart of Berhalter's team. This system, I'm so excited to see what they do. What the engines that we have against in England, and then even Wales and the rest of the group. But like, I don't know, this group really excites me probably the most. Obviously, we have Adams, right? Lock there. Great move to Leeds. I think Acosta. Going through Weston McKennie, of course, Yunus Musa we have, and then also Gio Reyna, right? So I'm knocking on wood here. Not going to say any more, nothing else, but I'm just knocking on wood.
We'll see if he's a midfielder too.
Yes, if he's a midfielder, but I think you and I both prefer him to be there, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then we have some surprises here, Austin. Luca De La Torre, not missing so much, but Malik Tillman being that last option. So I think a lot of folks are going to be curious about that. But for the most part, I mean, I feel like everything else is pretty locked. I think, you could maybe argue Luca, but the move he made to Celta Vigo, how he's played, I love it. I'm all for it. So I'll let you take it away from here. Yeah,
I was kind of hesitant to get on the Luca De La Torre train. I know you, Pat, we're all aboard it. So fair play to you. But
awesome. I was a follower.
Yeah, I just wanted to see more of them, I think. And we got to see a lot of them, right, over the past year or so. And everything we've seen is positive, right? It just seems like he's grown in confidence, in his time playing with the U.S. And again, he has that familiarity with some of the players on the team, right? Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic.
Yeah.
So you really just see him getting comfortable in this environment. And I think it's really opened up his game to another level. So I really think he deserves to be here. And then, with Malik Tillman, I had him on my roster as like the 26th man. So maybe it'll make a little bit more sense when we talk attackers. I think, again, the jury's out on him, right? We talked about some other players that Based on form, we're going to have to see how this fall goes and whether they merit, a World Cup spot. But if things go well, because we both like the Rangers move, we think it's a good situation for him to get minutes. It's a good league for him to grow and kind of get his feet under him.
Europa League final, Austin. They were just in Europa League final.
Yeah. I mean, they're a very competitive team. So, if he can get consistent game time this fall and again show, that talent that he has, then I think he could make a really good, 26 man on this team, I'd say. So someone who can kind of play all around the attack. He could also play in midfield and kind of be that guy that gets called upon if injury strikes. So, I think we don't really need to go much more in depth than that. I mean, Gio Reyna, knock on wood, he's healthy and, up to the same level, which I think we both think he's going to be at. And I feel other than that, it's kind of, this is the easiest position group to go through, right? There's not too many surprises.
And I think with that, right, Austin, we've said this a lot, Gio, obviously being listed playing more on the wing for the U.S. as opposed to, being the midfield. But I mean, what he does with Dortmund, what we've seen him do coming inside essentially, how he can just see moves, 2-3, passes in advance, unlock those final channels and just driving runs through. I mean, how fun would it be to have Reyna there healthy, with this group, everyone all together in that midfield? I mean, you have MMA, but what if you even had again, like an Adams, McKennie, Reyna? Again, I love Musa, but certain combinations that you could do to have him, more in that attacking mid role, and maybe that is changing formations a bit, but I would just love to see him in that midfield position for the USMNT.
Yeah, I think we'll see what happens. But when you look at the other options at attack, which we'll get into in a second, I think having him in midfield makes even more sense personally. Maybe we should move to the attack now. Do you want to kind of lead us off, Pat?
Yeah, for sure. So the attack, again, I think we had, one or two varying ones, but, for the most part here, right, just going through, we had Ricardo Pepi. We're believing he's going to hold that spot, lock it down, and then his former FC Dallas partner there, Jesus Ferreira, on the roster as well. On top of that 9, BFOC, right? Congrats on the Union Berlin move. That's fantastic club. That's big time. I mean, this Bundesliga, it's they finished 4th, right? Or 5th last season. So since they've been up the last few years, they've put together a very slow, strong build, fantastic team. He's going to get Europa League minutes, right? So, I think that's all really exciting.
And let's be honest, too. PFOC was one of the ones we were kind of on the fence about. We have a few names kind of at that third striker position. Yeah,
we do. We do have a few. That's true. And then I think aside from that, from the wings, right, we have obviously Pulisic, Timo, our boys, our lock, Brendan Aronson. Interesting to see what he does at Leeds. And if he can push the envelope to start, it's going to be hard. But, he can flex into that mid or, the attacking group there. And then obviously the last one, which I like too, Austin. I'm glad you put here Jordan Morris. That can kind of come in.
Only if he has his dog with him in Qatar. Only if he has his dog with him.
That's right. Only the dog. But just and his Wheaties, right? Spanish Wheaties, to bulk up. That's what we need him for, those last 10 or 15 minutes. Just bombard players through. Corner kick set pieces, diving headers, clutch goals in the last minute. Something Wando couldn't do. Sorry for the dish there, but I think Morris is our guy for that garbage time.
Yeah, that's a funny comparison there. I think Ricardo Pepi is the one I really want to key on. So I've been watching him over the past few months, and I don't know. I just think he's handled the way that first spring went so poorly. I think he's handled it really well. You've seen him come back, into training for Augsburg, scored in their first preseason game. Hasn't gotten the same game time since that first game, but some of the highlights they show of him in practice, it just looks like he has the talent, man. I think he's someone that I just am confident that he'll finally, get things to fall his way and be in the right positions to score. I think he's got the technical ability. I really do. Like, they were playing that one game with him where he was, shooting the ball whichever way he wanted to answer the question, and like it was perfect every time.
Oh,
It couldn't
yeah.
have been any better. Like, and that's really small. And I hope I'm not, drawing this, huge conclusion. I'm not trying to draw a huge conclusion from, one simple game, but you've seen a lot of those games where people just like completely like mess up, and it's, like
Austin,
they're professionals.
If he's starting the Bundesliga season, or again, maybe not starting, but getting significant minutes, like 15, 20 plus off the bench, is he getting that at the start of the season?
In order to take the next step, he's got to, right? Like I think he needs to be starting, week 1 of the Bundesliga. I think he needs to, if he's not starting, then needs to come off the bench and make an instant impact. Like, this is go time for him. And, I think he has the talent, but it's all about, putting the mental side of that game together and rising above kind of the, poor play that he's, experienced and shown, and some of the, inner turmoil amongst that team, right? It wasn't the best team last year. They weren't really together when you watch them play. They were very disjointed as a group. So it's tough. He's one of 11 people on the field, but he needs to, again, do everything he can to take that next step this year. So that's my little, what do you say? My little bio on Ricardo Pepi, or,
I like it.
Opinion piece, op-ed on Ricardo Pepi. And then with PFOC, right? We're big PFOC believers, just because, again, the form has been there. He's so different than any of our other strikers. He provides a different look. He's more of that, straight poacher, straight in the air, goal scorer. But some other names we considered, right, were Daryl DK for that position, Josh Sargent. Again, if both of those players get hot this fall, then maybe they warrant a call up. And then Haji Wright is the other one. We're not really sure what his club situation is, but those were just some other strikers.
Yeah,
we
don't forget Ariola, Austin. Can't forget the Dallas connection. So there's a few fringe guys, but I think back to PFOC, where maybe not like for like, but you could kind of make that DK PFOC comparison, right? Obviously
similar.
DK is fantastic, see him healthy, right at West Brom. Hoping for a big push for the championship, but something about the PFOC move, it just feels right. I'm excited to see him get started here in the Bundesliga, and if he can get some goals here, this is a perfect step, from the Swiss league. I mean, if he's knocking in goals here before Qatar, I mean, there's no reason to leave him out. I mean, the Bundesliga is no joke. It's not you're not young boys anymore, and I don't know, just something about it, Austin. I feel good about that move, and feel good, with the move comes this chance to Qatar.
Yeah, I do too, to be honest. And like you said, we'll see what happens, but it was definitely the right move, right? There is no reason not to say yes to it. We talked about staying maybe and scoring some more goals this fall. Maybe that was the better move, but I think this team that he's going to is a home run, right? They play in a similar mindset, right? They always try and, they need a poacher up top. That's kind of how they play. So,
exactly.
Yeah, I think it's a good move. The one interesting thing I wanted to bring up real quick, and maybe we're getting in the weeds here a little bit, but, when you talk about starting 3, right, you obviously got to think about Pulisic on the left, one of our strikers, whoever it is, that kind of emerges at the end here. And then when you think about the right, Tim Weah has been fantastic over the past year or so. The one caveat I was thinking about in picking this lineup or this roster of 26,
I know where you're going.
Yeah, he hasn't played too much with Serginho Dest. I think he's played a few times over the past 2 years in that right wing position with him as right back. Do you see any reason to be worried about that combination if they can play in sync with each other? Because Tim Weah is not, the guy that really tracks back too much. Like he does it, but some other, another option I thought may be beneficial to look at with Serginho Dest on the field is Brendan Aronson, right? Someone who is willing to track back and work hard for the team to maybe cover some of those, defensive weaknesses or lapses that, sometimes happen with Serginho. So what do you think?
I think that's a good point, because I think it depends on obviously our opponents. If you're looking at the group here, I don't really see a huge problem until with England though. That would be kind of maybe when I would lean more towards Aronson. Or again, maybe it's a different combination. Maybe it's and again, I don't want to say to take Anthony out, right? He's our best starting left back, but you could even slide Dest over and then put somebody like a Yedlin or someone just kind of hold ground there, with him up top. So again, I don't know if that's the right solution, but no, I completely agree with you with Aronson. I think for me, it just depends on kind of the opponents, because when you're going against some of those other teams in the group, having that overlap, hopefully they'll be able to build chemistry sooner than later, but the dynamism, that Dest and Weah offer you, that is so lethal going forward. So it is a risk that our center backs might probably have to cover, but it's a really good risk from the attacking perspective, I think.
Yeah, and I think it'll be really interesting again to see who's healthy, right? If one of these players isn't healthy to go, then that really kind of changes things around too. So yeah, I think that's our 26-man roster, right? So we had a few, players we argued on. Some of the honorable mentions, and again, just to go through it quick, Daryl DK, someone we really have high expectations for this season. Hope that, it's not too late for him to kind of make his way into this roster. Gianluca Busio, we still don't know what his position or, what his team is going to be, this year, right? Is he going to stay at Venezia in Serie B, or is he going to move somewhere else?
Our boy Andrea, Austin.
Yeah, that's true, which makes it tough, right? Because they can only have a certain allotment of, international players on the team. So maybe that kind of signals what's going to happen. Jonathan Gomez, right? We talked about a left back issue, right? And that was someone we didn't really bring up there, but that could be an option, right? If things go well at Real Sociedad this year, if he's, wanting to play for us, then why not offer him a World Cup roster spot? I think that would be another player to look at. Conrad De La Fuente, we kind of touched on, I think, briefly earlier on, but he's another option too, right? When we talk about attackers, maybe it's him over Jordan Morris. Maybe it's him over a third striker, and we have an extra winger on the team. He could be an option. Talked about Josh Sargent a little bit, kind of the same as DK. Reggie Cannon we covered. Joe Scally we talked about. And then one final player. Yeah. Do you want to talk about him real quick?
Yeah, I'm excited to see, breaking into Wolfsburg, and he's looked dynamic for the preseason so far. I think that's another case, Austin, where you bring in somebody like that, for that experience, right? Like if you're thinking about it from that Gaga perspective, where, again, he has that quality where maybe he could jump into some game time, but also you're thinking long-term down the road, right? 2026. I mean, Paredes is, and you could argue one to watch, but also already there. Like, this guy is an elite player in the making already, I think.
Yeah, and I love his mentality too. Like, he just looks ready to take that next step at Wolfsburg this year. Yeah. So, I'm excited for him, whether it's, at left wing, left back, left midfielder. He could find his way again as a backup left back, maybe into this team and be used in a host of different ways. So, yeah, those are
awesome. Just think back to the last World Cup we were in on that roster, and now think about just the players we talked about. Unbelievable, huh?
Quite a difference. Yeah, we don't have Brad Davis on here or Graham Zusi or any of those guys. So, yeah, it's quite we've got options now, which is kind of what we've been talking about for the past few years, which is exciting change to what we used to have. So we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Definitely leave your whether it's your full 26 in the comments, some players that you want to see on the roster, or your starting 11, whatever, you want to leave below. Leave it down there. We'd love to, hash out which players we think will make it and, which players we don't think will make it. So, with that being said, like our video and subscribe to our channel down below.
And also, guys, aside from social media, right, Instagram, Twitter, putting out fantastic content for you guys. Make sure to spam our YouTube comments, social media, saying if Austin's right or wrong on John Brooks. That's a mystery that needs to be solved. So, make sure to spam that below. But, of course, like I said, we're always putting out great content for you guys on the socials.
Yeah, I'm going all in, Pat. I was just in Vegas, so
okay.
I'm feeling lucky.
Okay.
Yeah. And we also have, a merch page down below. We also have this episode available in podcast form on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. So go check us out there. Please leave us a review. We're trying to grow our brand on those channels. So yeah, Pat, that's our 26-man roster. I'm excited. The World Cup's right around the corner.
I think so too. I mean, the amount of moves our boys have made abroad, as well as back to MLS or some folks, right? So there's a lot of movement here in the transfer window. A lot of players kind of vying to cement their spot. So it's a grind. It's serious competition. Again, just back to we haven't had this much talent, across MLS, across in Europe, in these leagues, and ever, honestly. So
Right.
I don't know. I'm so excited for this final roster.
Hey, and it's all leading up to one thing, Pat, and that is one day we will win the World Cup.